Refreshing. Refreshing. And we're on. Yep.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. It is Wednesday. I almost said it was Tuesday. It is Wednesday, which means it's officially Boob Tube time right here on EXXXOTICA.tv. And of course, it's not Boob Tube if I don't have my lovely co hosts, Casey Carter and Desirable Bottom in the building.
Okay.
Whew.
Close. Woo.
It's almost the last day of the month.
Hey, girls.
Y'all.
Hey.
Hey. And yes, it is the last day of the month. I mean, well, yeah, the almost part, but it feels like the end of the month to me.
It is the end of the month, and it's like so. I'm like calling. Can anybody please tell me where August went?
Yeah.
Where did the summer go?
Facts.
The summer. That
Big
part,
facts.
Kari. Where did the summer go? Because I remember pre-COVID, I felt like I was always sitting in my parents' pool. Like every weekend, I was in their pool. I could probably count on one hand how many times I've been to the pool this year. Not good.
Aw.
Not good.
Well, I only went to the pool in Miami at the hotel, and I only got to go once, and I didn't make it to the beach. So I feel your sentiments.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it's like that's the time that I literally recharge for the rest of the year, and like I mean that literally, where I soak in the sun, get all that vitamin D, get ready to finish out the year. Because the way Exotica rolls on the back half of the year, it's popping, baby. It's popping.
It's back to back. So it's
Mm-hmm.
literally whatever you got planned for New Jersey, you better have DC like right behind it.
Oh yeah. Oh
It's
yeah.
almost like you leave from New Jersey and go straight to
Straight to
DC.
DC. Oh yeah. And this year I got day job trips that I have to do. So I'm literally like there's 1 week in September where I got day job. No, I got a daytime day job activity. Then I go to Florida for day job stuff. And then I come back to do more stuff. I'm like, I'm not mad at it, but at the same time, you wake up and you're like, wait, the month's over already?
Happy New Year.
Right.
You're literally
Right?
like,
It's true.
is it 2024 already?
Already.
Like, yeah.
Already.
I'm not looking forward to it at all. At all.
Man.
Things are just flying by.
Too fast. Too fast. I mean, it's crazy because I'm, there comes a point like I get nostalgic. I look at my kids and they're in their 20s, early 20s, and I think to myself, what was I doing at that age? What was I doing just before that age? And the next thing you know, I'm remembering back when I lived in Long Island and, was cutting school. I'm like, where did that time go? Like, why was that so long ago? Why does it seem like when I was in that moment of life, like the year would never end?
It's the year that never ends.
Yeah.
Especially when you were like ready to turn 16, when you were ready to turn 18, ready to turn 21.
All those things.
Yeah.
All those things. Like when I lived in New York, I went from elementary school to middle school. I started high school in Connecticut, but prior to getting to Connecticut, I lived in Queens. I lived in Long Island. I went from this school to that school to. I mean, it was like a straight up adventure. Like, you know, And again, I
Yeah.
think back on it and I'm like, it's like, I don't know. I marvel at that moment in my life, just the things that I used to do. Like, and so, I mean, I know I'm older than you, Kari, but I'm sure you remember times when you could walk to school, when you would walk to your friend's house and your friend lived on the other side of town. And,
Yeah.
folks just walked.
I walked everywhere. We used to live like when I lived in Cali, we lived by the beach. We had a beach house once. And I literally lived a block away from the beach. Now, I don't ever remember going to the beach when we lived there, which is ironic, but
Right. You
any
never
other
do.
time, yeah. But we lived like in the neighborhood that we lived in, there was literally a convenience store, a donut shop, or like a bakery, because we lived next door to the people that owned the bakery. They were this really amazing Cuban family. And then there was a couple of other things in the little strip mall. But I remember walking to the bakery all the time because we would just go in there and they would just, give
Hmm.
us free
Right.
things or we would buy donuts or whatever. And now it's like unless you live in New York, because I was just in New York and I didn't have any problem when I went and got my nails done. I didn't want to. So the thing is like where I was at in Brooklyn, there's like sparse parking opportunities.
Yeah.
So when you get one, you literally walk everywhere or take an Uber because you're like, if I leave
I,
this parking spot,
I'll never see it again.
because when we came back from one of the events, I think it was when we did the shoot and sip in Lynbrook, we came back at like 1:30, 2 o'clock. I don't remember. It was really like late. And we had to park 3 blocks down and walk all the way to the apartment. And not the short blocks. So, like the avenues are short, the streets are long. We were on a street. So it was 3 streets. And I was like, this is insane. This is why, because I had an opportunity to move to New York years ago and I could have had like a rent controlled apartment and, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, something just kept telling me, now I remember why parking.
Yeah, my sister lives in Brooklyn. She doesn't even have a car. Like she used to have a car and they sold it because it was like, what was the point? It was no
You're
point.
paying, you're paying. Well, first of all, people just hit cars like it's nothing. They just swipe it.
True.
Secondly, so you're paying for insurance. And then third, like the parking situation. And fourth, like traffic.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, and see,
You have a better luck getting on a train.
at the time, her car was at my parents' house in Connecticut, and so it was something she
Mm,
drove when she came to visit. But once my folks moved to Georgia, my sister was like, "I'm not paying another rent just to have my car."
right. And like when we
Facts.
parked in Manhattan,
Mm.
it was $40 an hour. 40 freaking
Damn.
dollars
Yeah,
an hour.
it's not cheap.
Insane.
And
They're
it doesn't
robbing
even look
you
like
blind.
Yeah.
not only that, but it's not even like the
That's
best
freaking
parking
insane.
situation. It's not like you're in this like high-end gold walls and
Nope.
it's like,
Jiffy parking. Jiffy
yeah.
parking.
Yeah. So anyways.
Yeah.
People, welcome
Anyways.
to Boob
So
Tube. We've spent
when I
go
was
ahead.
in DC, like when I was in the States, I noticed that a lot. Like in Washington, it was like
Hmm.
car park. And then I seen this like I think it was like a building, but I thought it was like a hotel or whatever, but I don't think it was. I think they were like renting rooms or something, and it was like over $200 for like parking. I was like, what?
Yeah, that would have been monthly.
Like, or I don't know if it was 2 or 4. Yeah,
Yeah, it would have
yeah,
been monthly.
yeah. I seen that and I
That's
was
why
like, that's insane.
that's
Like,
why I'm saying my sister,
crazy.
to have, if she were to have taken her car into the city, she would have been paying upwards of five, six, $700 a month just to have a guaranteed parking spot in a garage. And
Yeah.
more times than not, because at the time she had the car, she was living in the city and working in the city. So more times than not, she would have not been driving the car, which would have not made it worth paying for that. And then the only reason she would have had it in the city with her is because the folks sold the house in Connecticut, which would have been the only reason she'd have drove the car. So
Yeah, it's
Listen.
yeah, but
ironic.
Yeah.
all right. I just want to share. So Friday was Lorenzo's birthday. We went to Puerto Rico for the weekend, and
Yeah, how was the trip?
it was really really nice. But here's the thing about it. So Saturday we were supposed to go to the beach and got up late and was like, screw it, we're just gonna go to the hotel pool. Super nice pool, like lounge chairs galore. They had food out there. There's a great bar. There was a DJ. And then it started raining literally as we got outside. So he was
I was
like,
about
let's,
to say
yeah, yeah, yeah,
hurricane.
yeah. So he's like, let's go to the mall. I'm like, okay, but like, I don't want to come to Puerto Rico and go to some janky mall. So he's like, no, I already looked. It's good. It's good. So he called off all the names of the stores and whatnot. I'm like, all right, let's go. Okay. So I say that to say, if you go to Puerto Rico and if you are staying in San Juan, you have got to go to the Mall of San Juan. That shit was bomb. Oh my God. I have told everybody I would fly to Puerto Rico on the weekend just to go shopping. The mall was amazing.
Ooh.
It's a 2-story mall. It's very like it's bright. It's kind of artistic looking. But what made the mall is the first level was great stores, the H&Ms and the Vickies and all of that, and like the nice versions of those stores. The
Hmm.
second level, all designer, all
That's
designer.
how it is here in
Wow.
Baltimore at the Towson Mall.
Tyson Mall. Oh, I've been to the Tyson Mall, girl. Yes, but
The,
what makes
well,
the
no,
what
Towson.
well, Tyson Mall is
Yeah,
all of
that's in
that.
DC. Towson's here in
The
Baltimore, and it's the same thing. There's a rainbow on
the
the first floor and a
Okay.
Gucci
Yeah,
and
so but
Tiffany's on the second.
what I loved was how light and bright it was. And when you're in the store, so like we stopped into Jimmy Choo store, which I actually thought was um Tiffany's, but it was next to the Tiffany's. And like the lady wouldn't let me leave. Like I couldn't get out the store. I was looking at these bags because they were absolutely spectacular or whatever. She wouldn't let me go. I had to finally we just finally walked out without after she had given me the card. She was like, "Hey, if you want, I can ship it, whatever you need." I'm like, "Okay." Uh, then I go walking
Somebody's
past.
trying to meet her sales quota.
Listen, all she needed was to sell one thing, right? So then we walk past this store. It is the most colorful store I've ever seen in the world. It was so colorful, it looked like a candy shop. The shoes were all these
Oh.
multicolored things. They had crazy heels on them. And okay, so long story short, I got a pair of the shoes that they sell in this store. But what made me go in the store is my favorite champagne is Veuve Clicquot, and they had this wallpaper, a whole wall covered in the logo, and then they had the glasses in the window. And so I go in and I told her the only reason why I came
Fancy.
in is because of the champagne on the walls, my favorite champagne. And she goes, "You want some?" Hell
For free?
yeah. Yes. Yes.
Damn right. Nice.
Yeah. So she goes in the back. You can hear her pop the bottle. And I'm in the shoe store sipping champagne, trying on shoes. It was, it was,
Did you film any of this?
I did get some of that. Yeah.
Spectacular.
I'm about to
Yeah.
say.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's some social media content like
It, it
shit.
was crazy. The experience, and don't get me wrong,
Yep.
I'm kind of way all the way bougie. So I love a good designer store. It was the hospitality. If you ever shop in some of these high-end stores, they don't always give you the warm fuzzy. I could not get out
True.
of any of these stores. Like I would walk in. We went into the Louis store, and I tell Lorenzo, I just want to look at this one bag. 10 bags later, I'm telling the salesperson, please stop talking to me. I gotta go. The
I'm about to take a shit on your floor.
the
Works every time.
hospitality was insane, absolutely insane. So again, I say, if you're, if you're balling, just fly on down to San Juan to go shopping. If you happen to be going to Puerto Rico, Mall of San Juan was the yacht. It was great.
Were there any plus size stores?
I didn't even get a chance to see the whole mall. I spent so, I spent so much
Wow,
time.
that's insane.
I spent so much time in the handful of stores I was in. It was like 2 hours later. I'm tired now. I gotta go.
That's how it was when we went to Tiffany's. Tiffany's,
Yeah.
when I went to, so I went because a long time ago, someone had bought me a Tiffany's bracelet, the charm bracelets,
Mm-hmm.
and it had a lifetime guarantee on it, and the bracelet broke. So in order for me to get it replaced or repaired, I had to take it to the actual Tiffany store.
Yep.
Otherwise, I'm not a high end person. I'm generic as fuck. So I was like, I'm gonna go. So we go to Tiffany's, and it was a very interesting and unique experience, and I enjoyed it. And I ended up buying another charm. I think I spent like $100 on another charm, just because the woman that was, the salesperson, she was so sweet. Like, she knew, like, I didn't look like I belonged in there. She didn't treat me any different. She was very hospitable. And I was like, and ironically, I just got my income tax. So I had money. And I was like, I really don't have it to spend on this charm. But this woman has been so incredibly sweet. And like, she made me feel, and you know what? This is a tip for anybody who works in sales. This is how you get people. Cause then I felt guilty and I bought the charm. I bought the charm.
Mm.
I had no intentions of spending any money in there. As far as I was concerned, I was telling myself, I'm broke. I'm broke. It's like when you go to the car lot, and you're like, I know I don't need to buy a new car. And then they're like, let me show you this. And then you're
See,
like,
that's exactly why I don't go to the car lot.
Ooh.
exactly. This
I
is
don't
why I
need
don't
a
go to Tiffany's.
I don't need a car, so I don't go. But
I don't like spending $100 for a charm.
but you said something interesting when you said that you didn't look like you should be there. One of the things I learned when I sold real estate, you can never, literally, never judge a book by its cover. Some of my more liquid clients were Harley riding, Wrangler jeans wearing. The only way you
Flip
knew they
flop
had any money, the only way you knew they had any money was the watch. That was how you knew they were different.
and the bike.
Well, yes, the Harley, yes, but even that wasn't a 100% thing, because there were a lot of, in Florida, you had a lot of weekend riders where that was what they spent the money on, because they would spend most of the weekend riding and stuff. And so I
Right,
had
right.
I had clients who were regular folks, but that was their toy. They were in that 40-50 range, and that was their play toy, was to have a Harley. But I had these clients who you just didn't know. It was the watch. It was always the watch. And
Or
sometimes,
some
well,
of the richest people, that's how come they have money, because they don't spend it on frivolous things. Like, one of my dad's best friends, who's like a bazillionaire or whatever he is. I don't know how much money he has really, but he's definitely loaded for real. Like, he owns multiple properties, he owns multiple companies, he owns stocks. Like, he has resources, and he dresses like a straight beach bum.
mhm.
Like, his shorts have holes in them, his hats have holes in them. So to look at him aesthetically, you would think that he was like gonna pull out his hat and be like, "Do you think you could spare $1?" Meanwhile, he's like, "Hey, are you hungry? Here's $100. Go get something to eat." And you're like, and I actually witnessed him do that on Venice Beach.
Yep.
But when I say that I didn't look like I
Aw.
didn't look even interested. Like, I just walked in there with a very focused look on my face. Like, I'm here to get this bracelet fixed. This is very important to me. And I just didn't want to look at anything, because I was like, this is not a store I can allow myself to window shop in or shop in at all. And then, the woman was like, "Here, I'm going to give it to my manager." And, we're filling out the little form or whatever. And of course, I glance at the little case, and I'm like, the charms to my bracelet. Oh my god! And they had like a little high heel one with little diamonds on it, and I was like,
See, now it's your fault. You gave her all the signals.
I did.
Yep.
And I was like, I've never been in a Tiffany's store before. Well, I'd never like I'd been in it, but like real briefly. Like this was the first time I've actually been in it for more than a, you know. So I'm looking around. I see these beautiful diamond rings, and I'm like, wow, the stuff in here. I always wondered if it was as shiny in the store as it was on the. You know how in the movies they always make everything look so immaculate. I tell you, the glass had no
Yep.
fingerprints on it. Every piece of jewelry like screamed at you, bling bling.
Yeah, the lighting.
It was
Yeah.
the lighting, everything was on point. And so here I am. They have one whole case that's nothing but charms, right? Because these were when the Tiffany bracelets were like super big, right? And I'm over here. I've spent probably $10,000 on charms mentally.
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 Yeah.
They had some dope, like there was one in there that was like, I think it was like $4,000, but it was literally like
All
full diamonds.
Yeah.
It was real diamonds. Some of them have
That's
cubic
insane.
zirconia, but some of them have like real diamonds. But yeah, I was over there shopping. Like I think I just spent $10,000 mentally, but I went with the $100 one because it was personal. It was when Lion King was big, and so they had this little Lion King one.
Aw.
And,
Yeah, they actually did. There were a couple of animals they did. It was the lion and elephant. There was a period where they did some really nice jewelry with lions and elephants, and I remember having to resist temptation because let's just say I went through a Tiffany phase. I have a lot of little blue bags with the boxes and the stuff.
she said I went through a Tiffany phase.
I did. I had to stop myself. I did. I mean, even now, periodically, the email comes in. Okay, all right. So the last Tiffany whatever that I was like was earlier this year. They had a Tiffany collab with Nike.
Ooh.
And they had the audacity
Oh.
to make it one of those things where there was a limited number and you had to submit your name and email to a drawing in order to get picked in order to buy the sneakers.
Damn.
Did you get it?
No, unfortunately not. And they weren't cheap.
I'm sorry.
They weren't cheap. I mean, I knew they weren't going to be cheap, but
how much were they?
Oh gosh, I don't know. They might have been $500, something like that. Somewhere around there. I don't remember exactly, but it was something like that. Dude, you don't understand. It had to be done. It had to be done.
She was like, look, I'm going to take my chances.
Somebody else wasn't going to get paid, but my feet were going to be blue. Okay?
Anyways, welcome back, everybody. I love that we just spent 24 minutes on non-TV topics. If you're watching for the first time, we are. I am Kari Platinum Pussy Anthony.
I'm Casey Carter.
And I'm Desirable Big Booty Bottom.
Big Booty Bottom. So the reason why I'm doing this is somebody DM'd me on Twitter and was like, hey, what's BoobTube about? So I figured, we would tell y'all. Come and watch us. And we are just 3 happy-go-lucky women living our best lives. And we come on here and we talk about TVs and movies, and now we talk about our little adventures that we go on. And because
that's what makes you love us. That's what makes you love us, is we share.
You can relate.
Yeah, we share a little bit of ourselves, and for people like Jason and Christopher, they share a little bit of themselves, and we're like
Whitney,
Whitney,
Zany,
yeah, but they're not here today.
Alex,
where are they?
Yeah.
I need them to show up because
we need to do a Twitter roll call. Where y'all at?
Exactly, because right now we got Jason and Christopher, and I love Jason and Christopher, and I love the fact that right at the beginning of the show, Jason was like, "I'm here on time."
You're always here on time. He's usually
Big
here
facts.
before we are.
I know. I love it. I love it.
Yep.
We need to add him to the pre-show.
Agreed.
You know what I'm saying? But anyway, as Kari was trying to say, we do talk about TV and stuff and stuff. So that being said, before next thing you know, the show will be over. So, and fortunately, I have a very short list. First of all,
Me too.
I
I
am.
turned on Netflix so I could see what I
See what you
watched.
watched, right? I did the same thing. I'm dog sitting, so I'm not at home. I had a list from last week, and there were some things I didn't call out from my last week list. So I was like, no worries. And then I was like, oh shit, that list is at my house. Oh, okay. Well, anyway,
Oopsies.
I figured out something to talk about. So if I may, I would like to start with, and I know I'm not saying this right. Don't shoot me. I would like to start with
Not yet.
Ahsoka, the Rosario Dawson character from, well, that's the name of the show, is Ahsoka. It's on Disney Plus. It's a Star Wars character, and it's really, yes, it's
Ooh.
really, the character is really from one of their cartoon series, and the live action version first appeared on The Mandalorian, and Rosario Dawson played the character, and she
I
was,
love Rosario, by the way.
me too. In the show, it starts off during the rebel period. I think it's like after the fall of the empire or something like that. But anyway, the thing that keeps catching my attention is she was training to be a Jedi. And if I got this correct, for this is from memory, and my memory fails me from, whatever. But
From time to time.
she was being trained by Luke Skywalker, and the training stopped. And so what you see of her now is her in this period where everybody, all the empire people have scattered to the winds, and they're now all out trying to be sneaky to build back their alliance. And I don't know if I'm digging it yet, but I don't know. I think as a whole, I'm digging all these Star Wars spin-offs. I'm not saying it like they're good. I'm loving it because as a child who grew
Love
up,
Star Wars.
right, who grew up with Star Wars, and who understands the reason we have surround sound is because George Lucas created it for Star Wars, and
Right.
sat in the movie theater that had speakers lined, like literal box speakers lined the walls of the movie theater, and you would hear the spaceships, that it would sound like they started in the front of the theater, and you would hear as the sound moved from one speaker to the next and would go flying by you. It was the most brilliant technological idea in movies. And my cousins and I, this was when they were all in the Bronx, and we used to go to the movies on Fordham Road, and we'd be there all day, literally all day.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have just this love for Star Wars from that perspective. It's a very special moment in childhood for me. So
Same.
while all of the movies and TV shows and cartoons may not have been great, I just have an affection for them. So, and I like Rosario Dawson. So, yeah. And I think they're up to their third episode. Like literally, it just started. So they're up to their third episode. So it's interesting. We'll see how it goes.
I think for me, having all the different TV shows, cartoons, movies, like it confuses things. And trying to put all the pieces together so that you can understand the storyline and understand the characters and just understand in general where things are going. It just confuses things. Like it's not like Star Trek where they're going off on a adventure on the ship. Like these Star Wars has a more curated storyline. So when they throw in these wrenches, so to speak, it sets you off course, and then you're like, hmm. Well, that didn't make a whole lot of sense. You know
Well,
what I mean?
yeah, so what's interesting about that train of thought is the fact that um, there, I'm pretty sure Disney did this. There is a sequence, like you can watch everything in a sequence. And when you do that, it puts the movies, the TV series, and the cartoons all in a timeline. So, to the point that you're making, Carrie, it when I saw that, I was kind of like, I don't even know that I want to watch the cartoons. Like I couldn't
Okay.
fathom watching the movies, the TV shows, and the cartoons one right after the other just to be able to get the timeline sequence. Even though I am fascinated by the idea of watching the movies in sequence, my brain also says, like the movies, mind you, my brain says episodes 4, 5, and 6 were first, but they're in the middle. And the last 6 episodes of the movie series were done so much later that it just is all going to look weird, from a special effects perspective. So, and the fact that there's a couple of them, of the more recent ones, that I fell asleep on. And I went to the
Yeah, that's
theater,
one.
and fell
That's
asleep.
how I
Uh-oh.
feel, and it's really sad because I love the Star Wars
Right.
movies, but I feel like the further and further they get away from the Luke and Leia, and
Han
like
Solo.
I understand that eventually like we have to move on to other characters, but I feel like they go so far left that they lose sight of the original franchise.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And for me, it's just like, you're
Yeah.
losing me. You're
Yeah.
losing me.
Yeah. So I
Y'all need to come up with some more Ewoks or something.
oh, and it's funny. Wait, it's funny because while I was in Puerto Rico,
Or
one
Chewbacca's.
one of those, the Ewok one was on. It's like I haven't seen that one in
Return of the
forever.
Jedi. That's the
Return of the
third.
Jedi. I haven't seen that
Yeah.
in forever. But
That
anywho,
was the one that I saw at the drive, or at the movie. Did I say the movie? Well, anyways, I saw it. Yeah, the drive-in, and it's what made me fall. I mean, I always liked Star Wars, but the one with the Ewoks is the one that like I was just at that ripe age where it like
mhm,
it suckered me in
mm,
because they were so fuzzy and cute.
kind of like Gremlins.
I love Gremlins.
True.
Anywho.
So I do have some.
I was
I
always
took on,
scared.
huh?
I was always scared of the gremlins because I always thought they were going to come out of the toilet in real life. Real.
That is too
Yep.
funny.
Oh wow.
It
That is
was.
too funny.
Um.
Okay.
So I have to admit I've picked up a few shows, and I just can't. I just my interest in like nothing can catch my attention. Like so everything's just turned into like an intentional background noise.
Mm-hmm.
But I started a show called The Midnight Club.
Mhm.
Hmm. Okay.
And The Midnight Club is about this young girl who graduates as valedictorian and finds out that she has thyroid cancer. And
Aw.
she is on the search for a cure, or basically she just refuses to accept that that she's terminally ill, even though she's gone through treatments and surgeries and yada yada yada. So she's online researching anybody who's been able to beat thyroid cancer so that she can, find out. She's super, super smart. So she's trying to find someone that can help her, like, guide her towards how to beat the thyroid cancer. And she finds this story about this woman who apparently did, and the facility that she was in, which is it's a facility for adolescent or young adult people that are terminally ill, and they go to this facility, and that's basically where they go to live the rest of their years. And so it's this huge mansion, and it has a lot of history to it. And she gets in, and it turns out like the midnight club is, they all these kids, they're supposed to go to bed at a certain time or whatever, and they're all teenagers at minimum. And at midnight they get together and they drink on this wine, and they each tell this like super duper scary, like fictional story. And so each episode is like her finding out history of this house, things that, a lot of people don't really know, and her still searching for this woman who supposedly beat the thyroid cancer. Meanwhile, she's, trying to integrate with this group of kids and fit in, because these are the only people she's around all day and night and lives with them. And then these stories are actually very, very interesting. So it's almost like, I forgot what the name of the show was, but there used to be a show where like each time they told a different story, kind of like Twilight Zone.
Mm-hmm.
Except these are actually the
Okay.
kids telling the stories, and it's just this like, so like one of them, the girl is approached by Satan, and Satan says, I can give you this opportunity to have a clone, so to speak. But everything the clone experiences, you experience too. So the girl who's terminally ill is like, oh my God, that would be fantastic, because all the things that I can't do, my clone would be able to do. But what happens is the clone ends up partying, gets hooked on drugs, is in a terrible crowd, and then it becomes the battle of like who gets to live, who gets, like, now we're at this point where we've decided that both of us can't coexist. So who gets to live and who dies? And then what happens is when the one dies,
That's
the other one
insane.
feels the pain in hell.
Oh
So
my
it
God.
doesn't matter.
Wow.
Oh,
So
that's
stories
mind
like
fuck.
that.
I saw the promo for this. I didn't know, and because I saw in the promo, you see them talking more about the stories, and
Hmm.
I guess, correct me if I'm wrong, Carrie, it's like you get to see, it's also seeing them have these experiences or whatever, the clone or whatever. Yeah, I did see that. Okay. I didn't watch it, but I saw the promo for that.
Yeah, it's real interesting. I'm kind of in and out. It's, a little depressing with the whole like everyone's terminally ill and that whole aspect of it, which I understand, but at the same time I'm kind of like, I'm in this phase right now where I'm really trying to keep my TV positive, even though
Positive.
everything I've watched is kind of negative, ironically. So, anyways, that's what I saw. It's called The Midnight Club. It's on Netflix. Everything I watched was on Netflix. So, Desiree,
Cool.
what have you been
Billions.
watching? Oh man, I forgot all about it.
Billions. Billions. Watch it. I think I was so happy to see, like what Casey said, that Axelrod does come back. His mansion and where he's staying at is so freaking beautiful. That's all I'm gonna say. Like, it was just insane. I love the episode. The second episode, I didn't watch the third one. If there is a third one out, I'm not sure. I think so, but I didn't
There
watch it
is.
yet. And I
There is.
think this Sunday it's
Casey's
gonna
here
be
to
the fourth,
confirm.
right? So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I'm
It's
excited. I'm excited. It's back.
it is some of the better writing, and it's the pace. I don't want to say it's fast paced, but what I will say is that it moves. There's a whole lot of going on. There's a lot of talking, and um, enough to the point where you could
I didn't
miss.
know. I didn't know that Prince and his wife were like open relationship. I didn't even know that.
Yeah. Oh
So that
yeah.
was surprising.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Hey
think what
Queen.
what makes that so interesting is when they had to do the make their list of partners and share it with
Yep. Agreed.
the the campaign manager,
Politic guy.
and it's
There we
funny
go.
to me when when he says, "Oh, I know that one." like
True, right?
I want to know, how do you know that one? Like, in what way? So
Context. Yeah. That's very true.
yeah,
Very true.
it
It was
is
good. Watch
it's
it.
good. It's good. And I'm very curious to see, like, since you haven't seen the third episode, Desiree, I'm not going to tell you what happens, but it
Okay.
it's continue, that whole energy, the moving and the da, da, it continues. Everybody is running game on everybody, and so it's very, very.
Ooh, shots
The
fired.
one thing I will say, I'm gonna say this, is Wendy, after coming back from seeing Acts, Wendy is kind of very self-reflective in terms of, what am I doing with my life? Um,
Yep.
this thing with Prince really has her looking at herself. So there's something that happens in the third episode that actually has her go to a therapist. And
Ooh.
yeah, how
Okay.
Wendy gets to the therapist is very
Ooh.
interesting. That's the part I'm not going to tell you. But it, all of this, and it's fascinating because Axe was, he was hardcore. He was a beast. And that didn't
Yep.
send her to therapy. Prince, on the other hand, Michael Prince, he's got her like her, questioning her character. And yeah,
Yeah.
so, I personally think the problem is she and her ex aren't hitting the dungeon anymore, so she ain't getting it off the way she used to.
That could. Yeah. That
And
could be it. That could be it.
she,
Right.
it seems like her position at what used to be Axe Capital, all of that, like she was still getting her rocks off, bossing people around and listening, but now things have changed, and so it's like, and I also feel like
True.
she
True.
got played. Like Axe totally like played her, or well, she played Axe, but you know what I'm saying? Like yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I felt like that was a bad relationship. Like that was, for me, I felt that that's when I kind of disconnected from Wendy, when she started dating Axe, because one, he was her boss, and two, she was the arch nemesis of her husband. And even though they're divorced, I just feel like that there's some boundaries that you just don't cross. And for you to be someone who sits on a high horse and presents this level of integrity,
Yeah.
like I felt like that was a real fucked up thing to do.
Yeah. Yeah, I
And
never I never did like that.
True.
I felt like I feel like Axe did have feelings for her, but ultimately it was all, he used her as a pawn, and I felt like she knew it and still participated. And it was like, you dumb, you're supposed to be the person in all of these situations that personally navigates these responsibilities and relationships to a higher standard. That's what you're telling these people, right? I'm a therapist, blah 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 blah. Meanwhile, you're being mad messy.
And the part that I think
Mm.
has me very disappointed in her is, you're allowing yourself, to your point, Kari, to be this pawn against your ex. Like, I asked the question, are you that mad at Chuck still that you will, you'll participate in sticking it to him? And I say that, again, I'm not going to talk about the third episode, but I say that after seeing the third episode, where she did something in that episode that I'm like, you's a tricky bitch.
Ooh,
I
girl.
didn't like it. I didn't like
I
what she
didn't like how
did.
she played Axe either. I thought, for you, what we've seen of Wendy, like, let's just break Wendy down. That's what we need to do. We need to do like 15 minutes where we take a character in one of our episodes or whatever and break them down. Let's break down Wendy.
Okay.
Break them
You
down.
played your husband,
Mhm.
then you played axe. So
Yep.
for you to sit on your high and mighty
Yep.
horse, you play like you're doing the right thing, but you do what you want to do on your terms.
Yeah.
And then you turn around and give people advice to do the better thing, to be the bigger person, to, turn the cheek. And that for me is like, you're a double standard, hypocritical, conniving ass, manipulating ass. I liked you in the first season when you were just a
And she
dominatrix and a
is.
wife.
Yep. Do you guys remember though when she went to? I think she went to a therapist, and the therapist said, "Can you ever do something without transaction?" Do you guys remember
Right.
that? That was like
Right.
maybe a couple, like way back. Yeah.
Yep.
So that's how I feel too. It's like a double standard, or it's like you just said, Carrie, that she's like telling everybody else, do this and do that, but then she can't even do things herself, right? So
Yeah. It
I
is.
feel like she's a
Alex.
narcissist.
It's
I feel
it.
like she's a narcissist.
Yeah.
Yeah, but she's slick with it. You know what I'm saying? Because
She
like the
is.
men
True.
are
True.
narcissists. They are.
True.
But Wendy, and again, not going to tell you what happens in episode 3. But now
Watch
that you say the narcissist, there you'll see a little bit more of it in this third episode, to the point where you're like,
Aw.
girl, really?
Man, I gotta go watch.
Yeah,
Damn.
yeah. Yeah,
Yep.
I
Me too.
like I
I'm
said, I
excited.
was
I'm
I was
excited.
disappointed in Wendy. Not gonna lie, I was disappointed in Wendy. So, okay, so while I I didn't watch a whole lot of stuff while traveling, nothing worth talking about, but I did make a list of a couple of things that I want to watch, and on the top of my want to watch is Live to 100 Secrets of the Blue Zone. And if you don't know what the blue zone is, there's
Ooh.
been a lot of talk about blue zones. Blue zones are areas of the world where people live the longest lives, consistently reaching age 100. And,
So
they're
is it like Italy and places like that?
yeah, I was going to say Italy, Japan, Costa Rica. They even had California on the list. Yes, that's what I
Wow.
but I've seen shows that talk about this phenomenon, and it's the reason it's a big deal is because it's not a person or two. It's not this particular family has some relatives that live long, because like, I in my family, my grandmother, her sister, her brother, her two sisters and brother, all of them are alive. The oldest is 90, I think 93 or 92. My grandmother's 90,
Bless.
you know what I'm saying? So like genetically
It's
speaking,
amazing.
it's some right. But these blue zones get their reputation because entire groups of people, whole towns, whole regions live to these ripe old ages, and it has a lot to do with diet, exercise, the just the mentality of the people that in that area. Their
The
stress
environment.
levels, right, their stress levels are low. Their diet, and like when you talk diet, we're not talking people who are only eating vegetables and only drink water and never have wine. No, these are people who enjoy several glasses of wine and enjoy good food, but they do all of these things in moderation. But there's still something about these blue zones. So, I'm like, I'm gonna watch this show. Excuse me, I'm gonna watch this show, and I'm gonna watch it a whole lot different than when I watched it. Watch stories about it 10, 15 years ago when
Right.
when I didn't really care because I was still young. Hmm.
But
So
now when you're tapping on the next phase of your life and you're like, I need to preserve.
Ooh, girl.
Actually, it's funny that you bring that up because I was watching this thing on YouTube and the guy was saying, you know, they say that because I'm diabetic.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, the initial reaction from the doctor was, I'm diabetic because I'm fat. And not that I don't think that my poor eating habits as my in my first 40 years of living is not responsible for diabetes. I damn sure think that I made some poor choices for most of my life, and I'm definitely paying for it, but also it runs in my family. So I was kind of prone to it anyways,
Sure.
and they're all skinny and I'm the fat one. So there's a lot to be argued with that, but I digress. The point I'm trying to make is that he says in this video where he's talking about the quality of life, people that live stress free, eat, and I feel like because I have food trauma,
Mm.
because I've been, plus size for a long time in my life. He mentioned something called food trauma, and it never clicked with me before. Now, mind you, I'm happy with my body. I'm confident, so I feel like in that department, I definitely have improved. What I haven't improved in is I feel guilty when I eat things that are typically considered
Bad.
not healthy.
Right.
And because I feel
Okay.
guilty, the fact that even that I do eat healthy things, I still have that food stress.
Yep. Yep.
And it just it goes like it ties
Mm.
into what you're saying, where he
Mm-hmm.
says that like in order for me to beat diabetes, I have to beat the food trauma. And
Mm-hmm.
that means that I can, because I have taken myself off of pasta. I love pasta. I don't eat a whole lot of bread. I love bread. So like literally starches and carbs and things like that. I'm very, very like I eat wheat pasta instead of regular pasta if I ever get the craving. But ultimately, like I eat a lot of salads and I eat chicken for protein. But dude, this is very boring life.
Yes. Yes.
So I overindulge when I finally allow myself the opportunity, and then I feel guilty.
So if I could just jump in on this,
Mm.
and like, because
You
I'm
most certainly may.
as they say, I'm literally chomping at the bit because I'm like, so like you talked about having food trauma. My day job has caused me to stress eat, and now that I'm over 50,
Ooh.
the metabolism, the hormones have changed. So where I could before diet and exercise and drop 30 pounds overnight, I can't do that now. So I recognized I had to figure out how to deal with my mental emotional relationship to food. So I'm gonna be completely transparent, and I signed up for Noom because I wanted to lose weight, but B, I wanted to figure out how to deal with my stress and the eating. And like listening to what you were saying, Kari, one of the first things that they do is they talk about our relationship to food and the triggers that cause us to eat.
Mhm.
And you said something that was really interesting that they stress a whole lot. It's this idea that we have a hard time with food and diet because we tell ourselves I can't eat that because it's bad. I can't, the only way I can lose weight is if I only eat salad. And they don't create those kinds of restrictions. Instead, they give you this understanding of what foods you can eat and the effects of these various foods. And they help you to better understand portion control and all of that. And so the other thing that they make you do is they make you get on a scale every day. It is something I absolutely hate. Like I'm that person who only likes to get on the scale when the number goes down. The minute the number starts to go back up, I get back off
Yeah.
the scale. I'm
Exactly.
like, fuck it.
Yeah.
The scale is broke. I'm not doing this anymore.
Because it feels
We're
like
the
a
same.
failure.
We're the
It feels like
same.
a slap in the face
Exactly.
when you've been
Exactly.
eating salads
Right.
and
Yes.
you're like, and that's the part for me is like, if I'm going to do the things that I'm supposed to do, I expect results. But like
Right.
you said, I'm 48 years old, so eating salads now is like you should have been and I should be eating more than salads. Like, and that's something that I know, but I just and that's the thing. I feel like no matter what I eat, I'm setting myself up for failure at
So
one turn or another.
and that's why I'm even sharing it from the perspective of you can't, it is not humanly sustainable to only eat salads for the rest of your life in an effort to lose weight, because to your point, you're going to overindulge. And so
Mhm.
you find the way their dieting program works is they categorize foods by color. And so they also tell you to eat foods that are high in water because the water makes you feel full. And
Well,
so,
okay.
right.
That's
And
fair.
so they
This is
don't,
why they say to drink water when you eat.
yes, with every meal, you should have a glass
True.
of water. And, when you go out to dinner, they tell you to have soup, salad, have the soup or the salad before the meal as your appetizer because it also makes you full. It gives you time to feel full because most of the time, by the time the full signal registers, we've already had too much. So if you eat the soup or the salad as your appetizer, you give yourself that opportunity to let that trigger, that food, that I'm full feeling kick in. And then they also talk about intentionally splitting the food on your plate and knowing I'm going to take that part home and I'm just going to eat this part, which for some people will be a challenge because some of
Yeah.
us are in what they call the clean plate club, meaning we don't leave the table unless we don't leave the table unless we clean the plate. And so for some people that's hard to do. So and
True.
here's what's
I could
crazy.
see it too.
Here's what's crazy. I decided to sign up for Noom because I met this couple at Exotica in Miami, and when we got back, Lorenzo sends me this screenshot of the wife's Twitter account where she talked about how much weight she lost on Noom, and I'm like, I just saw this girl. Oh my God, she looked amazing. What do you mean she was bigger several months ago? So I was like, that's it. That's a wrap. I'm doing it. So yeah.
Yeah. I definitely I definitely want to make, cuz it's like, okay, for me, I don't have any like severe habits. Like I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do drugs. Like I'm pretty square. But food, my friend,
Mm-hmm.
food.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Food.
Oh yeah.
That's my life. That's my life. Like when Ghost tells me he's bringing me food, it's exciting for me because
Right.
I've starved myself all damn day. So anyways, thank you for putting me on to Noom.
Yeah.
I will definitely look into it.
Yep.
For any of you out there that are struggling with any type of eating disorders, body more dysmorphia, or anything triggering that we've discussed, because we probably should have did trigger warning. This was a
Sorry.
topic we did not anticipate.
No. No.
But just to make sure if anybody's watching, we just want to say if you're an adult content creator, reach out to Pineapple
We're
Support.
with
They
you.
have a lot of therapy and what do you call them? Counselors
Mm-hmm.
that can help you with any type of issues that you're having. Also, I'm going to try Noom, and if anybody wants to go on that journey with me, I invite you to join me, as I just want. I've pretty much eliminated stress in most of the aspects of my life, but food, which is obviously something we have to do, which is eat, that one I have not quite conquered. And when I think that I've done the right thing, I'm drinking water and I'm eating salads and I'm, eating this like chicken and shit. Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
still fucking up somehow, some way. But
Yeah.
anyways,
Anyway,
we
it's 10
got some
o'clock now.
stuff to do now. We got some stuff to do
Okay.
now.
Okay. Hold on. Wait a minute. Hold on. Wait a minute. Hold on. Wait a minute. Coming up here we go.
Ooh.
Ooh.
November 3rd to the 5th, we will be in Edison, New Jersey for Exotica. I believe it's the 50th show, is it not?
I think so.
I believe it's the big 5-0. December 1st to the 3rd will be in Washington, D.C. Get your tickets at EXXXOTICA.tv. Ladies, free Friday. Sign up now.
And next.
And next, we have September 29th to October 1st, 2023, the 420 Expo, where you can come and explore the food trucks, enjoy lots of
Oh,
420
let's see.
vendors. Get your tickets at 420expo.com and follow them on social media, the 420 Expos. And
Until otherwise told different. And
March 6th to the 10th, 2024, we're going to the Bahamas. Go ahead, Casey, my bad.
no, I was gonna say, and pink boxes. But yeah, go ahead. You can, say what you gotta say about that.
Oh, we said it. You saw the commercial. Now you can go to our pink boxes. And with that being said, if you guys are watching for the first time, thank you so much for making it through an entire episode of BoobTube. We're on every Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Click that subscribe button and the notification bell so you can get alerts when we go live or upload new content here on the Exotica channel. And furthermore, comment down below. We love reading your comments, and we'll see you next week. Same time, same bat channel. And with that being said, back to you, Casey.